Hello, good afternoon, and the warmest of welcomes indeed to today's iOB business webinar. My name is Ben, and I'm the resident business coach here at iOB Business. It's an absolute pleasure to welcome you on here. Now, if this is your first time joining us on one of these iOB business webinars, a little bit about how they run just to get you introduced and get you familiar with the layout before we get kicked off. So we're going to cover three core topics today. In between each of the topics, I'll give you a brief chance to jot down any questions you might have for us, which we'll then answer in the end of the webinar during the Q&A session. Always a pleasure, so please don't be shy. Please feel free to ask away with any questions. And these pauses are often also useful for jotting down notes and things like that as well. Okay, so just as we're getting set up for today's webinar, once again, my name is Ben. It's a pleasure to have you on here. If you do have any questions, please feel more than welcome to ask away. Okay, so what we're going to do now, as we're waiting for everybody to join, welcome for those of you just coming on now, I'm going to go ahead and switch off my video camera, so you shouldn't be able to see my face anymore, but you should still be able to hear my voice. Okay, so today's topic of conversation, you needn't reinvent the wheel. Okay, so it's a really cool topic, something that we can talk about in very good detail. You needn't reinvent the wheel. It's a very strong business philosophy that we're going to speak about throughout today's session. Okay, so as we get kicked off, welcome to those of you just joining us now. We're just about at the 2 o'clock mark, so we're just getting ready to kick off now. So my name is Ben. I'm a business coach, and I specialize in working with small businesses to help them achieve stability and growth, just like many of you wonderful people on here today. And indeed, many of you looking to become business owners, digital agency owners of all different kinds. So these webinars are always full of valuable content for this kind of thing. Okay, so today's conversation, three core topics as always. Number one, misconception leading to procrastination. Okay, very interesting topic, something we'll cover in good detail. Number two, the theories already in place. Okay, it's a philosophy I coach by, a philosophy that I live by. There are certain theories that we can follow that are already there. Okay, and finally, the last nail on the head, long-term success. Okay, so let's get kicked off with topic number one. Now, right before we do that, once again, if you do have any questions, if you do have anything you'd like to ask, there's a gray Q&A box at the bottom of the screen there. Bang your question in, and I'll get to you at the end of today's webinar during the Q&A session. And also feel free to engage in the chat box. As always, if there's any questions, any concerns, anything you'd like help with, drop it in there and we will do our best to help you as well. Okay, so misconception leading to procrastination. Let's get started. A common belief that we as entrepreneurs must set out to create something never before seen. Now, this is a big misconception, something that I love to start the webinar off with, because we ourselves psychologically, internally need to begin to wrap our heads around the fact that when starting a business, when coming into an industry, coming into a market of any kind, we seem to have this belief that we have to completely crush a brand new sector, a brand new topic, a brand new wheel in quite literal sense sometimes. Otherwise, we're not going to be effective. Otherwise, we're not going to do something. Now, this circles us back to, what is your goal? What is it that you want to achieve? Okay, do you want to be a groundbreaker? Do you want to be a trailblazer? Because if so, yeah, maybe you do need to create something. But if you want a healthy, successful, long-term business that isn't too fragile, doesn't break easily, doesn't break down easily, then you do not need to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so this misconception, number one, we as entrepreneurs must set out to create something never before seen. Okay, so thank you for the question. I'll get that to you at the end of today's session. Okay, so a common belief that we as entrepreneurs must set out to create something never before seen. Now, desire for innovation is a wonderful tool. Okay, I as a coach very much advocate that. We at iOB Business very much advocate innovation. It's an incredible thing, but you mustn't let it be the thing that holds you from making progress. Okay, so often I see as entrepreneurs, as business owners, we strive so hard to be innovative, strive so hard to create something brand new, that we end up not pushing forward. We end up not progressing with anything. Okay, because we allow ourselves to procrastinate based on the fact that we are not going to be perfect, or that we don't have something worthwhile to bring to the market. Now, if this sounds familiar to you, perfect, you're in the right place. It's something that we talk about all the time. Okay, Innovation is an amazing thing and it's very, very much encouraged. However, you cannot let this be the single thing that holds you from making progress, and it begins to accumulate into self-doubt, further procrastination. I can't do it. I'm not good enough. It's not something that I'm familiar with, or it just simply isn't good enough to bring to the market. And this is a misconception that I want to break for you right here, right now. Okay. So many of us allow ourselves to believe that without creating a brand new pocket in the market, we will not create a sustainable business. Now, sustainable business is something I'd love to talk to you about for just a minute. Okay. In my view, a sustainable business is something that carries itself long term. It's something that will provide consistently for you time and time and time again. Now, this is a huge part of what we're speaking about on today's session, because we must ask ourselves the question, am I looking for a sustainable business, or do I want to be a trailblazer? Okay, trailblazer examples, let's say new forms of social media coming out. Okay, something that's never been done before, new algorithms being created by digital companies. Okay, companies that are literally breaking the ground in what they do. However, okay, Amazon began as a bookstore. A bookstore wasn't new. A bookstore wasn't particularly innovative. Maybe the way that he did it was extraordinarily innovative. Okay, but did not procrastinate at the beginning. Amazon compounded into what it is today based on time, duration, progress, working up towards that. Okay, probably as did most of the social media channels and any significant business that you see today. They did not start being the powerhouse that they are today. Okay, so many of us allow ourselves to believe that without creating a brand new pocket in the market, we will not create a sustainable business. And this is why I ask you this question. And it's one that I'd love you to answer just for yourself, everybody on here today. What is it that I want? Do I want a healthy, sustainable, long-term business that will provide for me consistently? Because if that's the case, you don't have to create a new wheel. We're going to talk about in topic number 2, the theories that are already in place that you can latch onto, that you can use to carry yourself forward. Now, if you want to be the best in your field, absolutely encourage it. If you want to be the powerhouse of the digital marketing industry, the digital industry, the marketing industry, whatever, absolutely encourage it. But that comes with time, that comes with refining what it is that you have already started. Okay. And finally, the realistic truth is that you must seek to deliver an existing and useful service to a market that is yet to reap the benefits of it. Okay, so let's summarize everything that we've spoken about in this final point. Okay, the realistic truth is that you must seek to deliver an existing, i.e., digital marketing services, manufacturing, all these kinds of things that already exist, and useful service, okay, one that benefits B2C or B2B to a market that is yet to reap the benefits of it. Okay, so consider this a hack, consider this an avenue, consider this a light bulb moment. Okay, we take something that is already proven to be effective, for example, paid advertising, used by so many businesses every single day. Can you introduce something like this, SEO, blog writing, email marketing, whatever, okay, website development? Can you introduce these services into a market that is not reaping the benefits of it? Do you know of any businesses, or do you know of any people, any friends, colleagues, anybody within your larger network that could benefit from these services? Okay, this is where, again, in my view, this is where there is untapped capital waiting to be earned, money on the table, so to speak, that is not being picked up. Why? Because they're not utilizing these services, they're not making money from these services. And if you help somebody else make more money, is it fair to ask for a share of said money? I would say so. Okay, so that brings us to the end of topic number 1. I'm going to give you just a moment now. Please do take your time to ask any questions, jot down any notes, and I'll see you again in just a moment for topic number 2. Fantastic. Okay. Excellent. Thank you again for the question. I'll get that for you at the end of today's session. Please remember it. Please keep it handy because I am going to answer it for you once we've got through the initial bulk of today's webinar. Okay, so moving on to topic number 2. You might find as we're going through the session that some of your questions have been answered. Maybe there's a bit of content there that helps clarify something. If so, again, let me know and I won't go through the question again. Or if we don't have that covered, I'm absolutely more than happy to cover it in good detail for you. Okay, so the theory's already in place. Topic number 2, let's dive into some real nitty-gritty parts of business. Okay, the blueprint is already in action for digital agencies. Okay. If I ask you the question, where do these digital agencies exist? You could probably tell me. What do they do? You can probably tell me. Locally, where are they around you? Okay. And how do they serve local businesses? And lots of these questions we're able to answer because the blueprint is already there, because the business model has already been developed. Digital agencies are proven successful long-term businesses. Why? Because businesses benefit from using their services. Okay. It's more effective for us very much more often than not to outsource a particular skill niche, anything that would be very, very difficult for us to learn long term. It's much more effective to have somebody who's already great at it to do it for us. Okay. Now, the reason that, let's say, a bakery might reach out to a digital marketing agency and say, hey, can I get some paid advertising? Can I get some SEO? Can you build me a website? Okay. This is pretty common. And they do it because imagine how long it would take for this bakery to become an expert at paid advertising, become an expert in website design, become an expert in social media. And this same rule applies, by the way, from the perspective of the digital agency as well. To be a leader of a digital agency, you do not need to have a very specific niche skill set in every single service that you offer. That's why they're outsourcing. That's why there are teamwork options. That's why we very much look to build a healthy, sustainable business that fosters good teamwork. Okay. And then you can offer these to clients like a bakery or a glasses shop or a gym or any number of businesses. Okay, so the blueprint is already in action for digital agencies. The reason you can answer those questions that I asked you just a moment ago is because the blueprint exists. It's something that you have seen before. Okay, now this isn't just digital agencies, this applies for lots of different business models. But as we are talking about digital marketing today, I'm using digital agencies as my example. Now, social media is a proven organic and paid tool for many, many businesses. Okay, so I'm going to go through some examples for you here. The theories that are already in place. Now, the chances are you're on this webinar today because we're talking about many, many things, including misconception leading to procrastination, including theories, why you don't need to reinvent the wheel. Okay, so we're talking about literal proven theory now. Social media is a proven organic. Okay, if you're not familiar with this term, organic means that no money is really exchanged for use of the service. Just an example of organically using social media would be posting on your free Facebook profile, setting up a free Facebook business page, posting videos on TikTok, using Instagram without paying for anything. That would be considered organic marketing. Okay. A paid tool, paid versions, we're talking about things like Facebook paid advertising, advertising on YouTube, advertising on TikTok, Instagram. These platforms have an option for paid services as well. Now, if you ask yourself the question, well, what works better? Is it organic or paid? I'd say a combination of both. Okay, paid is probably going to let you reach more people. The algorithm is going to work harder for you because you're giving it money. You're giving money to the company, therefore they want to reward you for that financial gain. Okay, now for many, many businesses, again, let's just rifle through some businesses. Restaurants, could they use social media? I would say so. They could use Instagram for their food. They could use Facebook to give updates to their clients and customers. They could do loads of different things. Glasses shop, posting new glasses that they have, offering appointments, videos of trying the glasses on, for example. Okay, gyms, they can show workout videos. They can all sorts of things, supplement ranges. Okay, social media is a proven organic and paid tool for many, many businesses. And it's something that if we don't use, we have to make sure that we are utilizing these things for ourselves. Okay. So software utilization has been creating efficient, systemized approaches for businesses for a very, very long time. Okay. Now, software utilization, let's talk about things like CRM. Okay. CRM, if you're unfamiliar with that, customer relationship management. It is a very, very, very intelligent piece of software that helps you manage your customers. Okay. It's one that's used by digital agencies. The reason it's used by digital agencies is because they can do all sorts of things. They can create sales pipelines, which is how they track their prospects. Okay, a prospect is somebody who may be considering buying from your business but hasn't yet bought. They can create sales pipelines. They can send out emails. They can manage customer relationships in terms of how healthy the relationship is. Okay, is this customer going to stay with us long term? Are they going to buy again? Are they vulnerable to moving to another agency? Okay, now this is a whole other can of beans, if you like, okay, that we can get into when we're talking about monitoring long-term client relationships, making sure the client stays with us for a long time. Are they happy? Are they satisfied? How can we know if a client's about to leave? Okay, software utilization comes into this category. It also helps us do lots of other things: file organization, tracking things within our business, KPIs, numbers. Okay, it is something that has been creating efficient, systemized approaches for businesses for a very, very long time. Now, perhaps one of the key videos, okay, one of the key pieces of information that we can sort of look at here, not key videos, sorry, key pieces of information that we can look at here, okay, with these systemized approaches for businesses for a very, very long time is managing time. Okay, it's managing something long term that we can actually begin to alleviate a lot of the stress that we face on a day-to-day basis for running a business. It's something that we can alleviate from ourselves, from our team. We can move a lot quicker, we can move a lot more efficiently. Now, of course, the same with any software technology, any kind of digital tool that needs to be managed, that needs to be looked after. So we'll need someone to do that. Most likely at the start of the business, yourself. Okay. But these efficient, systemized approaches, these are what help us grow. You will find it very, very difficult as a business leader to grow if you cannot make use of these software systems. Okay. Now, once again, as with everything that we're talking about today, this not only applies to you as leading a digital agency or any kind of business, this also applies to a potential customer base for them as well. You can explain the benefits even better if you yourself use these pieces of software. Okay, you can then go forward and explain the benefits given to businesses just like yours, just like theirs, by using these pieces of software. Okay, now let's talk about online advertising. Okay, now it would be really, really cool if everybody on here could drop into the chat box, let me know. Are you familiar with online advertising? Is it something that you've looked into before? Is it something that you know a little bit about? Okay, because we're going to talk about just now the online advertising, how it comes in different forms. And we're going to talk about naming some as well. Okay, so paid ads, we've covered what they are. Social media, if you have ever been scrolling on Facebook, for example, and you've seen something that says sponsored at the top, that means it's a paid advertisement. It means that business has put money into Facebook to pay for that. Now, the same goes on Instagram. Okay, for those types of social media channels as well. Same goes on search engines. If you type something into the search bar, you'll see a list of businesses come up. You'll see a list of websites come up. The ones at the top, the ones that say sponsored, they are advertisements. Okay. Now, online advertising comes in many, many forms. And the word advertising, I want us to begin thinking about it as a broader aspect. Okay. It does not only mean an advert in one specific form. Paid advertising is a method of advertising as an overall aspect. Okay. Blog writing, another form of advertising. What's this useful for? Giving updates, filling in people with what's going on in your business, giving them useful information, guides, hacks, my top 3 tips for it, etc. Okay. Now, of course, the more time that you spend on these types of things, the more time that you can actually look into what it is that you're doing. Okay, with these blog writing things, you will see SEO articles, you will see things like this come up that actually improve the performance of your website. Okay, they improve the performance of a search engine, finding your website, finding different things about you, about your business, about the company that you're running, and all of these things. Okay, so blog writing has really, really cool benefits in this way. Now, email copywriting. Okay, it's a very, very niche skill set. It's something that is very, very difficult to achieve. But once it has been mastered, you'll begin to understand how your customers interact on a longer term basis. It's something that often email copywriters will talk about, is how we can build a personality, build a brand for your website, okay, for you, for your business, for your company. Email copywriting is a very, very, very cool talent to have. And it's something that doesn't cost an awful lot of money if you can do it yourself. It only really costs you the amount of using the software each month to then send out to your customers. Okay. SEO, search engine optimization. If you haven't heard that term before, SEO stands for search engine optimization. And in short, really what it's about is if you type in a business's name into a search engine, the optimization levels that they're at will basically dictate how near the top they show up when somebody is searching for them. Okay, now SEO, I would say probably from this list, in my personal opinion, is the most complex and probably the most difficult to wrap your head around. But once you have, again, an extraordinarily effective long-term tool. Okay, so that brings us to the end of topic number 2. I'm going to take a brief pause now and give you a moment to ask away with any questions. Thank you ever so much for the questions that I have in. I can see that somebody raised their hand as well. Just let me know if everything's okay. Please drop it in the chat box for me. If you have a question, do pop it in the Q&A box and I'll get it for you at the end of today's session. Okay, I'll be right back with you in just a moment's time. Wonderful. We're getting loads and loads and loads of questions today. Okay, so I will answer them all for you at the end of today's session. Once again, I massively appreciate you taking the time and very much look forward to answering them for you. Okay, so long-term success. Let's talk about what this means for you, what this means for your business. Now, this is the third and final topic of today's webinar. Okay, after this, we're going to do a recap, and after the recap, I'll get onto your questions during the Q&A session. Okay, so strong digital agencies must focus on creating recurring income streams, as this provides stability and the ability to forecast long term. Okay, now something very, very common that I see in businesses, especially in startups, as a coach, is that it is difficult for businesses to see long term how much they expect to earn or what they expect to do. Okay, now part of this is self-doubt and this feeling of vulnerability because they believe that maybe their service isn't there yet or their product isn't there yet. And this is kind of theory that we want to help them, beat. Okay, but in addition to that, this recurring income stream, nothing can ever be guaranteed, but it can very much help us forecast what is going to happen the next month, 3 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now. So strong digital agencies focus on this point. They focus on recurring revenue, okay, recurring income streams. How can we consistently earn money from a customer, from a client, month on month? Okay, and often this is done with, direct debits, recurring contracts, things that go on a monthly maintenance. Say, for example, a monthly website retainer to maintain and manage a website, or a fee every month for managing a paid advertising campaign, things like this. Okay, now this allows you to begin to build familiarity and rapport with your clients and customers, helping achieve consistent, steady income. Okay, especially as digital agencies, we don't really want to be focusing too much on the single one-off sales, because we'll get it and the money will be great, but then we're going to have to find a fresh, brand new customer. They're going to have to come in, they're going to have to be closed on that contract basis, and then they're going to have to bring us in money. Okay, whereas if we've got a recurring customer, they can just keep paying us time and time and time again until they choose to leave. Okay, if they choose to leave. So these recurring income streams, they create a very, very healthy, very, very predictable long-term business. Okay, now the ability to forecast based on this is, okay, well, do I have something called a churn rate? Okay, and a churn rate, if you're not familiar with that term, is essentially, if you imagine it like a revolving door. Okay, a churn rate of say 50% would mean that 2 people are coming in, 1 person is going out. Okay, refer to this as your client in your client roster for your digital agency. For every 2 clients that come in, we're losing 1. Okay, now we don't really want that. We want to really more be looking at, we're bringing in 10, 20 clients at a time and we're losing 1 or 2. Okay, it's a much healthier churn rate, but it is completely normal to have a churn rate when you're growing a business. Okay, so you take this into account and you say, well, how many customers, if we keep going at this pace, do we expect to have in 6 months' time? Okay, therefore, how much could we earn based on how much we sell our monthly services for, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, there are many, many factors in this, but that's the overview. So the digital services mentioned previously have been around for a long time already and will likely continue to provide benefits for their users. Okay, I really personally can't see things like paid advertising, social media going away anytime soon. We're talking here about long-term success. If you're looking for something that's going to last you long-term, something that you're going to be able to earn money consistently from time and time again, pick something that is currently A, earning money, and currently B, something that's projected to go for a long, 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 long time. Okay, now the way that we do that is by looking at something that we believe customers will need, clients will need. Okay, that's where the money is. The long term comes from, well, have we seen any massive changes in this kind of use? Okay, businesses will always need to advertise, business will always need to market their services or products. Okay, so refine your selection of what suits your digital agency best. Okay, I know that some of you on here already own digital agencies, some of you might be thinking about it, some of you might just be on here to learn about business. Okay, so refine your selection of what suits your digital agency best. This comes under many, many factors, such as your skill set, what you're passionate about, what you love doing, maybe a natural skill that you already have. Okay, if you're an accountant at the moment, you're looking to start a digital marketing agency, maybe you don't believe that you have a transferable skill set, but I can tell you being very, very good with numbers is an amazing, amazing thing for things like analytics, things like tracking KPIs, key performance indicators, looking at campaigns, where their performance is, how you can improve them. Okay, so you refine your selection of what suits your digital agency best. And if it's just you running it right now or you thinking about running it, it's going to come down to your personal skill set. Okay, now once you have your winner, keep pressing the button. Do not fix what is not broken. Okay, I love that phrase. Keep pressing the button. Okay, what do I mean by this? I mean, once you have something that works, you can keep pressing that button time and time and time again to grow your business. You have the theory in place. You know a certain type of advertising campaign works. You know a certain service offering benefits customers and clients long term. Build on that information. Okay, after that, it's just a mindset thing. You believe you can do it, you will. Okay, if you have a working formula. So once you have your winner, keep pressing the button. Don't fix what ain't broken. Okay. So to recap on today's session, okay, we're going to do the recap, then I'm going to take a pause. Please take the time to jot down notes. I'm going to go away and gather all the questions that I have from you today, and I'll come back on during the Q&A session and answer those for you. So to recap, number one, beat the misconception, okay? We have to begin to overcome these misconceptions in business to make sure that we can grow long-term and keep ourselves productive. Number two, use the theories already in place. Okay, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. There are things that are already working, proven long-term theories of business success. And finally, win long-term. Go where the money is, go where the clients need your help the most, and serve them for a long time to come. Okay, so I'm going to give you one final pause. Please take the time to jot down the questions. Please take the time to jot down the notes, and I'll see you in just the next moment for a Q&A session. Okay, wonderful. Thanks ever so much. Moving on now to the end of the webinar and just about to kick off with the Q&A session. Okay, so I've got 4 questions there from you. I'm going to get to them in just a moment. Thank you so much for attending. As always, if you'd like to talk to a member of our team, you're more than welcome to head over to iob-business.com/talk-to-us, and you can go ahead on here and book a call at a time that suits you with us. Okay, so I'm going to leave this link up on screen. I'm going to leave the little calendar up on screen. That's what you'll see when you go to book a call with us. Okay, so first question I have from today: what are some misconceptions people have about growing a business? Okay, starting and growing a business, and how do these misconceptions lead to procrastination? Okay, so first big misconception: I've got to be perfect. Okay, now think about any time you've ever thought about doing anything. Think about any time you've ever thought about writing an article, a blog, beginning a project, maybe you're in school, university, any of these times when you were going to do something. Did you believe that in order to achieve something throughout that session, throughout that project, that you had to be completely perfect before you got started? Or if not, at least very, very good. Now, what happens here, okay, and again, this is my personal opinion, what happens here is that you spend far too long trying to perfect the recipe and perfect the formula before actually starting. Okay, and that is one major way that this leads onto procrastination. You begin taking time, you begin overthinking, you begin to doubt yourself. Well, maybe I could do that, maybe I could do this. Before you know it, days go by, weeks go by, you haven't done anything. Okay, my personal philosophy on this is that it is so much easier to improve something that has already been done as opposed to trying to perfect it the first time around. Now, imagine the easiest way to explain this: I've written a blog. Okay, now I've written the blog without thinking too much, just went from whatever came from my brain. It's good content. I'm going to go back through it now and I'm going to change a few words, adjust a few sentences, and check my grammar. Okay, is that not an awful lot easier for me psychologically than trying to perfect that entire blog the first time around? Okay, other misconceptions: it's going to cost me way too much money. I'm just going to take time to plan, think it through. I'm going to save up for a while. Another misconception: it's super duper complicated. It's really, really hard. I'd better just read a few books, watch a few videos and things like that before I get kicked off. Okay, so talking about misconceptions specifically, that is what we're looking at. Okay, how these misconceptions lead to procrastination. I hope that that answers the question. Thank you very much indeed. Okay, next question that I have from you: what theories or frameworks are already in place to help entrepreneurs overcome procrastination and achieve long-term success? Okay, so let's have a look at really why we're asking this question. Okay, this I've got similar questions in here. We've got more questions coming in now that are on a kind of similar wavelength to this one. And I think it's a really, really interesting question. And I think it's asked because we as entrepreneurs, you and I included, we struggle with procrastination. Okay, so the goal is really to achieve long-term success. And the question that we have to ask ourselves is, why am I doing something else right now? Why am I doing something that isn't productive? Why am I doing something that actually isn't providing any benefit to my personal wealth, to my business? Okay, and the truth of it is sometimes we just don't know where to start. Sometimes we just don't know what to do. So theory number one, just start doing something. Okay, just do anything that could be productive for your business. Theory number two, after you've started doing this, start to prioritize your list of actions. Okay, administration is not as important as, say, financial management, cash flow, lead generation, marketing, looking for new customers. Okay, that's theory number two. Theory number three, begin to plan your days, time. Okay, I'd rather you're spending half an hour a day consistently than doing this stop-start rhythm of going 100 miles an hour this day and then not doing anything the next day. I'd rather you're moving at 10 miles an hour consistently every single day. And this is one of the biggest problems that we see with long-term success, is that people get really, really motivated in the moment and then they'll drop off. Then they'll find something that's actually not that effective for them, or they're moving way too quick and they're just going to begin to really, really struggle. Okay, so those are three theories that I personally would put in place to overcome procrastination and achieve long-term success. Okay, you want long-term success, you need long-term habits. Wake up at the same time every day, give your business the same amount of attention every day. You don't need to move mountains overnight. Okay, just do a little bit each day. That's how long-term success happens. Okay, amazing question. Thank you for asking it, and I hope that that answered for you. Next question, how can I apply these theories to my own business, and what are some practical steps I can take to overcome procrastination and achieve long-term success? Again, hopefully that helps. Okay, hopefully what we just said there, practical steps. Step one, just do something. Step two, then start prioritizing your list of tasks into, okay, I want to conquer that first, then I can move on to other things that are potentially more useful. Okay, step number three, plan your days out. Okay, write down your to-do list, write down your tasks. I see you've just jumped back on there, so we must have dropped connection for a minute there. I'm just answering your question, just to go back over that. Welcome back. So what we were talking about is the theories discussed in the previous question that I answered. Step one, just do something. Step two, start prioritizing your list of tasks. And step number three, give yourself a daily routine. One of the biggest flaws in what we do every day is that we don't plan out what we're going to do. We just do business when we're feeling good. We do business when we're feeling motivated. Treat it like a job. Okay, treat it at the start like something that you have to do, because believing we have the option to not do anything is one of the main options. We'll go and do something else. One of the main reasons, sorry. Okay, next question. How do successful business owners stay motivated and focused over the long term, and what strategies can I use to maintain my own motivation and focus? Okay, again, amazing question. So I'll try and answer this in a different way to what I've been answering the other ones. Okay, how do successful business owners stay motivated? Okay, well, you might have heard the saying before that motivation is temporary, discipline is permanent. Okay, not every day you're going to feel amazing. Not every day you're going to feel like you want to do something, but it's having the discipline to get up and do it anyway. Okay, what strategies can you use to maintain your own motivation and focus? Give yourself a daily routine. Okay, now, whatever this might be, a lot of people that I work with are still employed full time. You know, maybe then they move to part time until they eventually become just a business owner. Okay, but what we've got to look at here is finding the spare time in our day. There's such a big, talking of misconceptions, there's such a big one with, I don't have any time. Okay, I've got a family, I've got a job, I've got a house to look after, and I understand. Okay, but I, as much as the next person, I love watching Netflix. I love relaxing. Okay, but sometimes we have to dedicate time. So let's say that you watch Netflix for 2 to 3 hours every night. Pick out half an hour of that and just work on your business. Okay, work on your business after dinner, work on your business after you put the kids down to bed. Half an hour every day is 2.5 hours a week. That's 10 hours a month. Okay, 120 hours a year. Now, what could you do in 120 hours? Okay, ask yourself that question. So, what strategies can you use to maintain your own motivation and focus? Forget motivation. Okay, forget that. Focus on discipline instead. Focus, a really, really good one, is putting yourself into an environment where you can't be distracted and giving yourself time blocks. So 20 minutes of time, 30 minutes of time, put a little timer next to yourself on your phone, on your desk, whatever. Set it to 30 minutes and say, I'm doing nothing but this task for the next 30 minutes. If you don't get it done in that 30 minutes, done. It has to move on to the next time you plan for doing the task. Okay. Great question. Thanks for asking. And I suppose one more thing on focus is, looking at it from this context, make sure that you do actually focus. Okay. Now, there's a theory here that if you begin to sort of unfocus, you become distracted. It takes you about 15 minutes to get back into the zone. Okay. So if you imagine how many times you're doing that in a half an hour window, if you get distracted twice, that's a 30-minute window of doing essentially nothing productive. Okay. It's not what you want. So what are the common obstacles that entrepreneurs face in achieving long-term success, and how can I anticipate and overcome these obstacles? Okay, so common obstacles, loads. Okay, there's loads. So I love where your head is. I love that you're thinking about how can I anticipate these obstacles before they happen so that I can beat them as and when they come along. That's actually an amazing question. And there's loads. Okay, there's ones for team management. There's ones for, making big decisions. A big procrastinator for us is when we have to make a very important decision. Another obstacle is cash flow. Another obstacle is deciding what to spend the money on, knowing who to hire, knowing when to hire them. Okay, knowing what services to offer, who to offer the service to. The best way to overcome them is by finding somebody that's been there and done that. Finding somebody that you can work with, okay, like a business partner, a mentor, that can help you overcome these because they themselves have faced this obstacle. Second way is educate yourself. Okay, study business, learn about cash flow, learn about marketing, sales, learn about presenting, learn about putting content together, learn about managing a business as a whole. And you'll find that your own problem solving ability should enhance enough to an extent to overcome some of these problems on your own as well. Another brilliant question. Thanks so much for asking. And finally, can you show the review third topic you discussed for more questions? Sure. Let me go back here. So I'll leave that up on screen. Okay. Now I think that's us answered every question that we have live at the moment. Very much enjoyed answering them. Thank you ever so much for asking. Okay. So I'm going to leave, somebody asked there to bring up the third topic that we discussed on today's webinar. So I'm going to leave that for you there just for a minute, see if you have any more questions, and then I'd be happy to answer them. Okay, so I'll put the webinar on again on a brief pause. I'll give you a couple of minutes and I'll be right back. Okay, perfect. So do we have any more questions from today? Wonderful. Okay. Looks like that is us then. If you do have any more questions, just raise your hand before I finish up today's webinar. Seen a few people putting the raise hand thing up today. So if you do have any more questions, there we go. No questions. All right, awesome. Cool. Well, as always, a massive thank you for taking the time to join us on today's session. It's been an absolute pleasure. My name is Ben, and I very much look forward to seeing you again on the next iOB business webinar. Take care and bye for now.